Welcome back to another episode of Tape Till You Make It, everybody.
We should have discussed who was hosting this episode before we began.
I'm kidding, Nathan. Take it away. I'm still clapping.
Welcome, everyone, back to the Tape It Till You Make It podcast. Today, I am your host, Nathan, an editor here at Nora Vera, and I am delighted to have with us today Sarah, production coordinator of Nora Vera, and someone who is no stranger to hosting this show as well. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on this episode with me.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to be here as a guest because now I can just kind of relax, like take it easy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely. I had an interesting little topic planned for this. Something that I think gets discussed in our industry a lot is particularly like the little barrier to entry that I think a lot of people perceive. And one of the answers to that question, I think a lot tends to be go to film school or go to like media production school. And that's something that you and I have both done. I think we both did quite different programs.
Different in the sense that they both were in different provinces.
Yeah, both different provinces. I think they were both very different lengths, and we'll definitely parse through the differences as we go. But yeah, I thought, I see a lot of stuff online, and usually this comes from people who kind of take on the role of like sort of being those alternative educators of like, you don't need film school, you just need like this YouTube channel or this podcast or these articles and stuff. And there's a lot of value in that, but I don't think we hear a lot from people like us who actually went to school and the good, the bad, the ugly of that. So so thank you for being on here and being willing to share your experience with me. So
oh gosh, I'm not going to name drop my school just in case.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
That was going to be my first question.
Oh no. No, I'm just kidding. You know what? I am proud to say that I am a BCIT graduate.
Nice.
I can't say that I'm not happy that I didn't go there because look at me. I got a job, straight out of school.
Yeah.
So it's like, can't really complain. And I got a lot of benefits from it.
Yeah. And same here. So which program did you do exactly at BCIT? Which one was it?
I did the 2-year full-time television and video production program.
Yeah. Very nice. Sounds intense.
It was intense. Oh my gosh. Backstory. I did no research at all about what school I should go to.
Oh man. Okay.
For this. I don't even know why I chose BCIT. And because like when I told a lot of people that, oh yeah, I'm going to school for film, they're like, oh, are you going to Vancouver Film School? And I was like, no, thinking that I like made the wrong choice type of thing. And then I went in and full-time program. I had a lot of classes every day while trying to also work. And it's like, oh my God, I can't.
So being like a full-time 2-year program, like what did you come out with? Like, is it a degree, an undergrad, or a certificate? Or?
It's a oh God. I think it's a diploma.
Okay.
I honestly don't even know the rankings of like diploma, certificate, degree. I don't know what any of that means.
Oh, okay. Oh.
But I'm pretty sure it's a 2-year diploma program.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I before moving here, I had never heard BCIT, and maybe that's just from my own ignorance of the schools down here. But whenever anyone talked about going to Vancouver for film education, be it also like acting or even like animation and stuff like that, Vancouver Film School was always the name. And that almost kind of rubbed me the wrong way because in Toronto we have this one. Man, I hope I can talk about this. I think I can. But we have this other one called Toronto Film School, which is not affiliated to my knowledge at all. But they're not great.
No.
No.
You know what? Oh, gosh. And I don't know if I can say this either. But when I first got into the BCIT program, our teachers were kind of talking about like what we can expect from this, like what we're going to gain.
Yeah.
And I think someone had asked like what the difference is between like BCIT and the Vancouver Film School. And they were like, the biggest difference is everything you create as a project in school at BCIT is yours. You get to take that and claim it, and you can share it, you can whatever. But Vancouver Film School, it's technically theirs.
Oh.
And I don't know if they've changed that policy. I don't know if it's different now, but at the time when I went to school, that's what our teachers told me. And instantly when I heard that, I was like, I made the right choice.
Yeah. No,
because you're trying to build a portfolio at the same time, right?
For
so
sure.
you need to have every single project, even if they're all shitty, because mine were. It's still like experience and practice to share.
Yeah. That's so weird. I've never
Isn't
heard
that
of.
strange?
Yeah, I've never heard of a school claiming rights over a project of their students. Like, you're paying so much money already
Right?
to go and learn and stuff. And yeah, that's huge because. Like at the program I did, little backstory, it's a 4-year undergrad program at Sheridan College. The program at this moment, I believe, is only I was the third cohort to graduate from it, only like the third batch of people to graduate. And it's already changed so much because we were kind of like a guinea pig year still, and they're changing it up. And even just the year below us, I saw them like they changed the courses up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We were a little bitter because we were like, oh, why didn't they realize
I feel like these programs, they're constantly changing, because that was the same with ours. Even like the editing software that we're using and things like that, those were all changing because the industry is constantly.
Exactly.
And they've got to keep up, right?
Yeah.
Except for the cameras that we're using. But that is industry standard, those like huge like things that people carry, like newscasters. I'm just like, I'm weak.
Yeah. No, that's why I became an editor.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the ownership thing. That's, I feel like that's such a huge caveat to have when you come out. Like, if you're going to do this, at least in our program, it almost sort of felt like it was building up to your 4th year when you spend an entire year doing your quote unquote thesis film.
Right.
And that's like a whole year process where we, I'll talk about the structure a little bit because it's this is kind of what drew me into this one that I didn't find anywhere else, and I actually did a lot of research on.
Okay, so there's
programs.
a difference between us already.
Yeah.
You did a lot of research. I did none.
Yeah, so like I had looked all around Montreal, and there's like a good program at Concordia that is really well renowned, and they're more known for experimental, and at least that's what I kind of grew to know when I was looking around. Right. So that I did look around Toronto, but this new program that I signed up for, they separated us into 5 different streams of what exactly we wanted to do because super strange, right? But it was really cool because like if you wanted to be a screenwriter, then you could take like a bunch of screenwriting courses, and that's not it, but and the same thing for directing and camera and sound and cinematography and a little bit of visual effects and and the list is growing as we speak, I'm sure, but whatever sort of aspect you were interested in. And in our first year, and I think you told me this was kind of similar to your program, we had to take a bit of everything, so I at least became like acquainted with the whole process. Yeah. But that became really, really interested to me. But the thing is, as I sort of navigated through the program and the way it's intended is you're supposed to kind of pick 2 and stick with those throughout most of your years there until you kind of run out of courses, then you got to kind of pivot back and pick something else. Maybe it's related. But I couldn't nail down what exactly I wanted to do. I liked a little bit of everything. I took in order. I took writing, visual effects, a little bit of camera, sound, directing, and then in my 4th year, after I had been working for a little bit and mostly doing editing work, then I decided to take editing after that too. Yeah. So nobody could nail down what stream I was in and what roles I fell under.
You can never catch me.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But in our big portfolio class, which we're all taking courses in separate areas, but we all come together for this big portfolio class, which were the same time every week for everyone, where we made those big projects. That's when I would kind of get to kind of step out of that and lead projects a little bit, which was fun. And
nice.
But yeah, all this circling back to my original point of how important it is to own your project is because we put so much time, effort, and money too. We were raising our own budgets into these things too.
Tell me about it.
And I'm still seeing to this day, a year after we finish these, people benefiting from those films because they distributed them into festivals. And honestly, that's something I probably should have done a little bit with mine. I actually tried. I should have put a little more research into what festivals I could have tried to get in. I burned a bunch of money trying to get mine into a bunch of festivals I probably had no chance in. But you live and learn.
You have to try though, because you'll always wonder what if you didn't. Right?
Yeah,
At least you tried.
Exactly, and I'm still really, really proud of this. And I think it was one of the things that got me hired here. So
good for you.
But yeah, and then. And then a few of my friends are like nominated for Canadian Screen Awards for student stuff. Yeah,
That's
which is
awesome.
crazy. Yeah. So anyway, own your projects. That's it's super
Definitely.
important.
Yeah.
But another thing I wanted to ask you, because this is something that heavily applies to me. Do you remember what your career ambitions were before going to school?
Yes.
Yeah? And what were they?
I have always known that I wanted to go to school for video and film.
Yeah.
And I knew my end goal is to direct, and more specifically, music videos.
Nice.
Sometimes documentaries.
Cool.
Because growing up, documentaries and music videos were my biggest passions. Music is a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's where I want to go. And once I got into the program at BCIT, I was like, okay, realistically, I'm going to start as like my dream starting goal or title would be like a production coordinator. Which that's exactly what I am right now, everybody.
I'm seeing it align a little bit.
And now I've also started to dabble in some directing.
Yes.
So
yes, you are.
I am like super, super thankful and grateful for my path and my manifestation goals. And yeah, like you were saying, my program, 2 years full time, heavy. Like I had like 6 classes.
I bet.
For the first like 2 semesters, and every class had a lab and a lecture.
Oh man. Okay.
So I pretty much actually had like 12 classes.
Okay.
It was hectic.
Yikes.
But you learn every aspect.
Yeah.
You know, I learned that how to do casting, contracting, networking, even just like organizational behavior was one of my classes. And I was like, what do I need this for? But it's to help you be in a team environment. How do you resolve conflict? How do you work with other people?
Yeah.
And those type of skills became so beneficial for me. And then learning camera, audio, all the technical things, which I was just like, my brain can't comprehend this.
Oh man. Yeah.
Sound, all of it. So I'm really thankful that I got to learn every aspect, because it really helped me just like hone in on like exactly what I'm passionate about and what my strengths are.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that. I'm definitely, I mean, it wasn't the best practical way to navigate my program from a grades successful standpoint, because when you like started a new stream, those classes at the beginning tended to be the hardest ones, because they want to catch you up pretty quickly. But like just having pretty like in-depth knowledge of every single department really made me realize more about how it all came together. And that definitely helped me once I actually decided what I kind of wanted to do, which was more editing and a little bit like you, documentary for sure.
Yeah. What is your career path?
Something I've probably said on this podcast a couple times before, at least, is I went into my university program wanting to be an actor. An actor who thought he would benefit very well from learning more about the behind the camera stuff. And then it was almost like within that first year of just like being exposed to all that stuff, I felt I just kind of got passionate about way different things. Like I didn't derive energy from performing anymore. I got it more from the creative process and control, I think is what I craved a lot. But yeah, and then also like I went in thinking that I would be working in like feature narrative film, and that's kind of what I wanted to gear myself towards. And then I took a documentary class in first year, and I hated it at first.
Really?
I really did. Yeah.
Why? What did you hate about it?
It was just different. It wasn't what the idea that I had for myself from the beginning. And then as I kind of had to learn more about it because I wanted to pass the class, and that was one of the classes that like nobody wanted to take, and everyone was like not doing so well. So we really had to like dial in and just try to focus on passing. But I think just being exposed to it more and kind of letting myself watch more documentaries that I think were a little bit more my speed, because when you're in those classes, you're watching the classics, right? But
documentaries range too. Like they're all so different. There's short ones, there's long ones, there's all these different topics, right? Like you can pretty much make a documentary about anything. But there's like performative and poetic and like verite and like and the ones where the where you host your own documentary, I suppose. Those ones I'm not too big of a fan of, but
but yeah, anyway, and I think just kind of learning more and more about that. And that was also about the time that I was, I wanted to get a little bit more experience. So I started like doing, little videos for clients here and there. And what can you do when you're just yourself with a camera and a lens? You can shoot little doc videos, right? With an interview and some B-roll.
Yeah.
And then I kind of fell in love with that sort of style of making a project, you know? And I think like, I don't know, I really like the idea of like using filmmaking to like kind of go out and explore the world and like meet interesting people who don't know anything about film, right? And kind of bring them into the world with you instead of working on like a big set with like, 120 people. And
that was, oh my gosh. When I went to school, I knew like headstrong, like I do not want, as much as I love how films are made and TV shows are made and all the hard work that goes into it, me as a person, I am not that type to do 16-hour days, 6 days a week for standing in the rain, PA work.
Yeah.
Like, no, thank you. Exactly. I love a small team. I love being able to just connect with everybody. I know everybody. It's not like, I don't know Suzanne in HR department. Like, I know everyone, right? Like, we're a small knit and we're a family here. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't want to work in a big team where it's like, oh, so someone said this and someone said that, and like just trickles down the line. I would rather just like speak to who I need to speak to. Yeah, for sure. I mean, just all the stories that I'm sure you and I have heard from other people we know that have kind of done that. I keep calling it the big box film and TV industry. I don't know, no one's told me that that's a bad way to talk about it, but yeah. I'm pretty thankful that you and I kind of got to skip that a little bit and settle more into an environment that we're really doing a lot of good stuff in. Yeah. And yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing that I was looking for out of school, and I'm really grateful I found you guys. Yeah, nailed it. Like, look at us now.
No, we're doing pretty good for ourselves. This is now just a podcast about how well Sarah and I are doing for
this
ourselves.
This is just us. Yeah. Look at us. Yeah, we're just bragging about each other. That's all. But I mean, we should be proud, right? Like, who doesn't want to go to school? And, you spend all this money and you're like, I need a job coming out of this. I need to pay off all my debt.
Exactly, yeah.
And so for us to have that is definitely why we're so happy and thankful.
Yeah, definitely.
And a little bit cocky about it.
A little bit. But like, we
just like confident.
In this line of work, like you tend to focus on the mistakes and the failures, right? And the success of like just completing a project and getting, and in our case, getting, the client satisfied is sort of just the expectation, right? And, we have our little moments where we slow clap projects when they're done. And that's sort of our little way of being like, good job, everyone. Yeah. We did it. Now
and we always make sure our slow claps are off key. Yeah. No one's ever on the same time. No beat, nothing. Yeah. It's the slower and more awkward it is, the better. It's just fun for us. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, like we don't tend to give ourselves pats on the back as much as we do like, oh crap, like, we messed that one thing up or this could have gone better. And, it's important to be critical and stuff, but yeah, you know what? Good job, Sarah.
Good job, Nathan.
Good job. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at us.
But yeah, thinking back to if I could have done film school again, I had this, I was thinking about this on the way over here. And I'm thinking back to like all the things I didn't like about it. And most of that in while I was there was like all of those classes where, and maybe this mostly applies to like degree programs where we have to take all of these like very historical, film theory heavy courses that we're kind of, I felt like most of us were kind of just, sitting through and trying to, and waiting for our camera class that we're going to learn, about anamorphic lenses the next class or something like that. Right. Yeah. We in general, we wanted to just kind of skip to the good parts where we got to, get our hands on stuff and do the actual things that we wanted to do. But then I was thinking like, where else can you really get that knowledge though of like, really thinking about, the classics and why they work, and not just understanding how films are made, but how they work and how you can kind of analyze them. And, I felt like I didn't really take that knowledge with me until I started really thinking about the projects that I wanted to do myself. But yeah, now I'm kind of just wishing I absorbed that a little bit more because, you know, there's a lot of resources online for technical things. And that's a big argument that we hear of why people don't necessarily need film school if you want to just learn about how to do the thing instead of like why we do the thing and how, you know, the story fits into all the different methods we use. But I don't know, was your program... like, did it have a lot of theory to accompany the practice, or like, what was the balance there?
What do you mean by theory?
Like,
describe that to me.
Like, did you have a lot of classes where it's like, okay, class, today we're going to watch, you know, Hitchcock's, you know.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. We had a writing class,
Yeah.
which I think that's where we learned most about theory, why colors are chosen, certain sounds, writing methods.
Yeah.
So, you know, how all rom-coms are basically the same structure every time. You know, all the genres are same structure, right?
Yeah.
Why horror films will always be good because everyone will always have fear.
Yeah.
We learned a lot about like that type of theory, which I enjoyed. I think my writing class was actually one of my favorites. I managed to write a rom-com in like 15 minutes because of learning the structure of things.
Cool.
Which is super fun. And yeah, we got to watch like TV shows and like, you know, dive into characters and why they are the way that they are. And I think that was super cool. Learning about color theory was really interesting.
Oh, that's something I wish I got.
Yeah. Like something that I learned about Jaws, the movie, which I love sharks. They're my favorite animal. But the Jaws movie, when I first saw it, always scared me. And I'm also like, I'm a baby. I don't like horror movies, thriller movies, nothing.
Interesting, yeah.
And so my teacher was telling us that in the original Jaws, you don't actually ever really see the shark. I think there's only like 1 point where you actually kind of see it, or maybe 2 points.
Yeah.
But it's the music that drives people to have that feeling of like, it's coming, it's coming, here it is. And that's why I can never watch horror movies, because the music.
Interesting.
I can watch them on mute.
Yeah.
Can't watch them with sound.
Yeah. You know, the sound is definitely, you know, that's half of jump scares, right? Is the sound element.
Oh my God, is it ever?
Yeah. That was always my biggest fear going to cinemas as a kid is like, oh, does this movie have jump scares in it? I'm like, I was almost like, even if it was like a, you know, like a superhero movie, I would be like ready for it, because it just, I don't know. I was deathly afraid of that. But that's interesting, because we studied a Jaws in the first editing class that I ever took.
Yeah.
Do you know why that you don't really see it? No?
Is it because it was really, really old times and they couldn't afford to get a real shark or build one that looked realistic?
Sort of, yeah. The one that they built, I don't know if they just realized it on the day when they were filming, but it just didn't look convincing at all. They couldn't get any, like, so when you do see the shark, it's like really quick cuts, right? So your eyes don't have a chance to register it.
And now we have movies like Megalodon where we do see it. And
oh my gosh. Yeah, where it's all CG. Yeah, that takes the fun out of it.
Yeah.
But, oh man.
Yeah, but see how much better the original one did when you don't see it, because it's that anticipation and that feeling of like, oh my gosh, the unknown, right? Yeah. When you see something, it gives the whole thing away. Yeah. And then you're kind of like, well, that's not really scary.
Yeah. So you kind of mapped out your career path for yourself, which I find really, really intriguing. I felt like I didn't know what exactly I was going to do until my last year.
Really?
When I kind of realized, well, it wasn't even, I kind of just realized what I was best at, I guess, I suppose, which was just kind of the realm of post-production. But, and I still am kind of figuring it out in this moment. I know that I want to get into documentary, and I think one of the things I like about it is you can kind of be that everything. You know, people make doc films like as a one-man band. That sounds pretty cool to me. I don't know if I could do that. I want to try it.
School has taught you that, to be a one-man band type of thing. Carry the camera, do the audio, do the directing, do the post.
Exactly. It's that or some really deep-rooted trust issues. We'll find out. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I think my program was definitely preparing me, and I should probably mention exactly what program it was. It's Sheridan College in Oakville, Ontario, the Bachelor of Film and Television. As a general preface, like, I loved being in that program when I was there. I felt like I was actually super immersed in it in those 4 years that I was there. Not just like not just in like what we were learning and the projects we were doing, but actually like navigating through the program and just kind of and getting to know all my peers and like you know, we were only like 100-ish people and yeah and like I knew most of the faculty by like, you know, on a first name basis. And
what?
Yeah. Where was I going with this?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Anyway, yeah, I couldn't figure it out until I was out, and then COVID hit and sent me back home to my parents and stuff, and that maybe put some perspective in. But yeah, I find that.
Did you finish school before you had to go back home?
No, there was about half, maybe a little less than half the semester that I had to do from home.
Oh, okay.
From my parents' place, and that was, of course, when schools were like, you know, just learning how to navigate this COVID thing and doing online courses and stuff. And I had to do some exams online and some assignments had to get changed out and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I could do it. Like if I was 1 year below, I don't know if I could have done it.
I know. I feel so bad for everyone who's had to go through school online. I feel bad for all the teachers.
Yeah.
I definitely think that they're putting in some really hard work and new learning curve, right? Like figuring out technology and how to manage that and wrangle a class of 30 kids online.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I would simply, I could not.
Yeah. Well, just thinking about how like, you know, group oriented our field is, and especially studying it and working with other people, especially in the small teams that you are, like, how hard is that to do remotely? Like from my knowledge of what the people below my year were doing for their last year, they were taking their classes all online with maybe some in-person workshops for like equipment and stuff. And then they just had to, you know, go out and shoot stuff when they hadn't seen each other in like X amount of months. And I've you know, seen some of their work. It looks really, really good. I just can't imagine the extra challenge that it must have been. Must have been doing that. But yeah, how much when you were in school, how much would you say you were looking sort of outside of your program for opportunities and experience, or were you kind of just trying to do the best you could during school?
I was just trying to do the best that I could during school. Definitely, I did some like experience type of thing before I got into the program. So originally, I applied in 2013 to BCIT, which was like straight out of high school. Yeah. Into a similar program, but not that exact one that I got into. And then I got accepted. Cool. And I was like, I wasn't ready. And so I declined to go. Yeah. Took 5 years off and, you know, just did stuff. But I still had the same mindset after all of that. Dabbled in a few things, did like some vlogging as you would. So, you know, being comfortable filming, editing, that sort of thing. And then I reapplied to that program and I got in, and I just was like straight focused on school. My program, I think in second year, they have more of like a structure of getting you to do things. So we had to go out and like film like hockey shows. Oh, interesting. Like, so live switching and things like that. And we had to do it, gosh, I want to say 2 weeks. So twice in a week, or once in a week, sorry. And for 2 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that. Drove all the way out to like Langley or Delta or wherever that area is and had to do that. And you like rotate through the different positions. So one time you could be like a camera operator and one time you could be in the trailer switching or doing graphics. I did graphic once. I did audio once. Nice. Oh my gosh. Live television. Yeah. Stressed. Yeah. Just full stress. Definitely. Because you only got one opportunity. Yeah. Don't mess it up. Yeah. And yeah, you have to like set up everything. So all the cables, hooking everything up, figuring that out. You know, they had projects for us to do like music videos, short films, short documentaries, PSA type of things, and you get to choose all of those. Cool. And then as well as BCIT also actually works with the radio or news program as well. Yeah. So they actually have like an actual like news studio And we have to do a rotation of that as well. So some of us will be in the control center. Some of us will be directing, assistant directing, music, things like that. So
wow. Pack a lot into 2 years. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It was like non-stop.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
Like as you're describing all these things, I'm like, okay, I got a bit of that in year 1. Okay. A bit of that in year 3, and a bit of that in year 2. I'm like, it just sounds so condensed.
Compacted. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was only taking, maybe like 4 or 5 courses a semester, and they were all once a week for 3 hours at a time.
Oh, do you get to pick, so for your program, do you get to pick your classes?
After first year, you pretty much pick all your classes, except for like 1 or 2 mandatory courses, which were like the portfolio class, and we all had to take a transmedia class, which is a word I didn't know until that class, but it just has to do with like all the promotion around a film, like media relations and social media and stuff like that. But a big highlight, I think for all of us, is the only TV portion of our Bachelor of Film and Television, which I think is going to change. Is in second year we took 2 television production classes, and we had like a whole broadcast studio and stuff like that too. We did a bit of news. There was a big strike during our year of that, so we didn't get everything, but we got to put on whatever show we wanted. We would like pitch ideas for a show. Yeah. And me and my roommate Michael, shout out to Michael if he's listening to the podcast. He is listening. He does listen to the podcast. Actually.
Yeah, Michael, we love to hear
it. We put on a morning talk show about conspiracy theories.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm in.
Funny.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories.
It was so much fun.
And do you like replicate like an actual like talk show, like late night with whatever or something like that?
It was more, I guess I think he was director, but we modeled it more, I think, after like the Marilyn Dennis show kind of thing. Yeah. Where we, it'd be like a typical morning show, but we'd have guests on like a fashion segment on the best tinfoil hats to wear.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That sounds so good. That's what we ended with. Like every set got to do their chosen show that they wanted to end with. So it was a live show. You could have a live audience and it was streaming live. And we did a similar thing that was like a full talk show. And we kind of went through our whole year and like what we experienced. And we did like challenges. Oh, I did the cinnamon challenge on television, if you would. I won, by the way. I won.
You won the cinnamon challenge?
Yeah, I did.
How do you win the cinnamon challenge?
I didn't spit it everywhere. Spit it out. I swallowed it all.
And everyone else spit it out?
Instantly regret that. Instantly regret.
That's a sound bite.
Everyone else. It was just me against this one other guy, and you had to like not spit it out or anything. And I managed to do it. So heck yeah. Add that to my resume.
That's so fun. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that our programs allowed us to do that though. Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I think, an unspoken benefit of going to film or media production school is, it's, yes, you're paying a large amount of money, and that is definitely a factor you should consider if that's something you're, considering. And, in our field especially, it's not a prerequisite to get in, right? Even on our team, we have a whole mix of people who some did and some didn't go to any formal training for this stuff. But so it can be seen as a bit of a gamble, but it's essentially a X amount of year sandbox to meet a bunch of like-minded people and to do fun projects like that, where you sort of get to know not only different roles, but different kinds of projects and different forms of storytelling, I guess, that you can kind of get passionate about and really discover what you wanted to do. That's like, when I think about if I really needed film school, it's often, it's a similar thinking process to like writing a script, right? Like sometimes the hardest thing to do is just to start and to find a place to start and then to build off from that. And, I think just getting that initial push, and not to say that you should stop after year 1, but, just being able to build off from there and see where you come out, I think is a really, really interesting and formative process. So
yeah, definitely. I definitely think the biggest benefit of going to school for this is the networking aspect.
Absolutely.
100%. Because I don't know, I'm sure your teachers were the same, but they were industry professionals, right? Like they've come from the industry, some were still working in the industry, and it is all connections.
Yes.
Like I got job offers to work with some of my teachers during school because they were like, oh, you're a really great student. It doesn't, and my teachers repeatedly said this to me throughout the 2 years. We do not care about your grades. We care about your like work ethic. Are you showing up to class on time? Are you showing up to class at all? Are you handing in assignments? You know, are you making conversation with the team? Are you doing good group work? That's all that they cared about. You could be having a C and they would still hire you if you came up and you showed up. Yeah.
That was something we heard too, which I really liked. It's like, as long as you know that you're giving your best, you don't have to worry about failing. And grades and grades too. Like, you know, unless you're doing a master's, which to my knowledge is really only beneficial, and this I guess extends to a PhD if you want to teach, if you want to go back and become a professor. But so, you know, just kind of being able to take it in and absorb all of that knowledge while you're there is definitely felt like it was the main priority. So I think that while they were still forming the program, I think they definitely got that right. But yeah, my teachers too were also mostly industry professionals. Some of them were kind of like career professors too, but and they tended to be a little bit more knowledgeable on like the critical thinking side and the theory. And again, that's something I think I wish I appreciated more. But I think a downside to that though is like sometimes they just literally wouldn't have time, like the professional ones, they just wouldn't have time for the classes that they taught because they're like, you know, on a job or and, you know, they'd show up late to class and be like, sorry guys, I was mixing this TV show. I got caught up and, you know, but yeah. And then something interesting I wanted to share. When I was in my 4th year, I had already kind of been working part-time doing video, mostly editing at that point. And then I decided to take an editing class and I got completely destroyed by that class.
Why?
Because that was when I realized that I wasn't editing films, I was editing videos. And the theory between the two are very, very different. And both of those kind of schools of thought have served me well here. But I just kind of realizing that you think you know a lot about something before you actually get a little bit of you know, at least some tips and tricks from a real pro. And anyone who's listening to this who knows the name DDA when it comes to editing teachers, and hopefully he listens to this podcast, knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, so stay humble, I guess, before you assume you know a lot about something. And still, of course, I'm, you know, very green into my career, and I'm still learning new stuff with every.
I feel like we're always learning though. Like this industry, you're always learning something new.
Absolutely.
One of the producers that we're working with, she's 26 years in this industry, and she's like, I'm still learning. Yeah. So, and that's a good thing, right? No one person is ever going to know everything. So, and I think that's why I love working in such a strong team environment, is because we are able to like teach one another and learn from one another and collaborate together. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And even just like, you know, the technical knowledge that we pick up in these institutions, you know, even now, having only been out for like a year, I'm starting to see kind of the relevance of it change a bit, because, you know, the technology gets better and you know, we don't have to think about certain things that are now like automatic, right? But the theory, more that theoretical, critical approach doesn't change much, I guess. So yeah, but you're right. You have to stay nimble. You have to keep learning and seeking out new resources. And I'm thankful that Nora Vera allows us to you know, seek out online courses and you know, better ourselves through that. But yeah, where would you say that you, now being out of school, where do you seek to learn new things about the crafts that you want to pursue? Oh gosh.
Be it like a mentor or online or anything. I don't know. Where do you learn outside of school?
Well, since I've started I've shared with the team that I do want to start to direct things. I've just asked John, who's our creative director here, to be my mentor. So that's one thing that I am using as a source of knowledge and learning. And yeah, just online. I love to watch shows, right? Who doesn't love to binge watch Netflix and stuff? And watching it not just as a viewer, but as like why did this become so successful, or why am I so intrigued in watching this? What key components? Is it the writing? Is it the character development? Things like that.
Like parsing it apart.
Exactly. Yeah. And kind of figuring that out. I do want to dabble more in creative writing, and writing concepts and scripts. I also want to do more music videos, or want to do any, should I say. I haven't done any. So continually just watching the latest music videos and trends. And really one thing that I've learned in trying to figure out what my style is watching a bunch of different people and what their style is. Because if you watch music videos and figure out who the director is and watch all of their videos that they've directed, you'll see a consistent theme and style that they have. Hannah Lux Davis, who's one that I like to watch, she's done a lot of Ariana Grande ones, BB Rexa, and Doja Cat. They all have like a kind of consistent feel to them. And so you can kind of tell their style, right? So that's one thing that I'm trying to figure out. So you just basically have to watch everything you possibly can. And then figure out, okay, what do I like? What is going to make me stand apart? And also show my passion and my style and my personality. So.
No, that makes sense. I can definitely relate to that too. Also being in the position of, trying to come out into our own and make our own original projects. It's super valuable to have so much high level content at our disposal to be able to watch and absorb and really think about, okay, like what aspect of this am I really latching onto, and what do I not like about this, and kind of separate that. And then I think at especially nowadays where we've been creating media content for like 100+ years now. I think maybe
a long time.
Should have paid more attention in history class, where the sort of stylistic landscape is so saturated. I think creative style comes a lot from taking those aspects and putting them in together, and then those new combinations are what create new styles, I guess. And then one day, hopefully, people will watch our work and parse it apart and be like, I like this and I hate this, and I'm going to take this for my own style, and the cycle continues.
One day.
We'll super cool. So all that considered, film school, is it worth it? What would you say was a either tangible or intangible benefit that you got from going to school? Oh, actually, before we kind of wrap it up, I wanted to ask what an internship. You did. What role did an internship play in your school, if at all?
So in the last year of the program, the last 2 months. So basically, my program is separated in 2 sets. So you have like different stems. We have 2 sets. So there's 40 students split into 2, so that there's like 20 and 20, set C and set D. And within the last 2 months, one set goes out first for their practicum, and then they come back in, and then the last set goes out. And the 2 sets don't have any really correlation in regards to classes. Set C is always in all of their classes together. Set D is in all of their classes together. But in a few lecture classes, we both come together, but in our labs, we're separated. So practicum, my set went out last. So the last final month of our program is when we had to do it. And the teachers were like, you guys find where you want to do your practicum.
Interesting.
If you need help networking and figuring out where you want to go, you can come and talk to us. But they highly recommend that you try and do your own research.
Right.
So I did. I literally Googled Vancouver's best production company. And I had one interview somewhere else, and I didn't get it. And then this was, I think, second on the list, Nora Vera. So I applied. And I didn't even realize that 2 other students from the other set before me were actually here already. So I was like, oh my God, like, are they nice there? Like, what is it like? Yeah. So nervous when I found out that I was coming here. And they're like, oh yeah, they're really, really nice. They're really friendly. And so I was like, okay, you know, I don't know why I was so nervous, but once I got here, I was like, okay, it's just like any other job. Yeah. When you're first starting out, it's always going to be kind of nerve wracking, figuring out what everything was. Mm-hmm. And everything just fell into place. And nice. I first was a little bit bitter, to be honest, that I had to do a practicum.
Okay.
Just having a job, I was like, I could either be working full time right now and being paid, or working for free full time.
Right. Yeah.
Which is kind of that like, but it is worth it, because that time, my practicum was 4 weeks.
Oh, okay.
By my 3rd week, I was offered a job. I hadn't even finished my practicum, and they offered me a job.
Wow.
I cried.
You cried?
I cried.
Oh my gosh.
Jeff, the CEO, was like, sat me down and was like, hey, do you want, just so casually about it too. Yeah. He's like, okay, cool. I'll set up another meeting for us to like really connect about it.
Yeah.
And then left the room, and I just turned, swiveled the chair, faced the wall, and just started to bawl.
Oh my gosh.
Because like I said, who doesn't want to go to school and come out with a job?
Yeah, for sure.
And I came out literally with a job.
Yeah, yeah.
So definitely the practicum was like the highlight, the peak of it. Mm-hmm. Just being actually like in a work environment and like figuring out, you know, how their systems work, how they work together, collaborate, the type of projects that they do. Mm-hmm. You know, school can only teach you so much, but every production company is going to be different in their methods. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I've never seen anyone do things exactly the way that we do them here.
No. Never the same, right?
No. But that's, you know, that's a kind of a good thing. It's, you know, it's our own seasoned way of doing things that I can trust that, you know, has come from a lot of years of, you know, this and that trial and error and stuff. But yeah, that was almost a bit of an adjustment for me, because I learned things like by one way how it's done in this industry, and there's no other way you can do it. So that was a bit of an adjustment, but you know, it's I think after I got over that, it was pretty smooth sailing. But actually, something that only John, Ash, and Jeff, I think, know, if they even remember. I also kind of choked up a bit when they offered me a job.
Really?
Yeah.
Aww.
But it was over Zoom, right? So it's not the same. But
I remember being in comms with you.
Yeah.
I scheduled Nathan's interview,
that's
and I was in comms with him. So I feel like I kind of guided you.
Yeah. I mean, you received my application on LinkedIn.
I did.
And and the rest is history, I guess.
And the rest is history.
Did you write the job description?
John did.
Yeah.
And then I think I just posted it, or I might have tweaked a little bit.
Yeah. Because I remember sounding super fun. I was like, this is exactly the kind of place.
Then it was definitely John. It was John. John makes it sound so fun. Like, do you love dogs? Do you like?
Yeah, that's exactly what I remember reading.
Do you love creating cool stuff and doing rad things?
Yeah.
Look no further.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all kind of the same in the method that we speak.
Yeah.
But we definitely want, anytime we do a job posting, it should reflect our personality as a team. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think every time we put a job posting, it's like, oh my gosh, that sounds so cool.
Yeah. So, well, definitely. Yeah. I definitely don't feel undersold on the fun element and how great it is to be here. The dog element,
lacking.
I feel like
we're a little bit lacking.
A little bit lacking. I mean, when Carrie got Juice, and if you want to see Juice, watch episode 1 about managing healthy lifestyles. She's all over that episode. But I wish there was more dogs. That's my only one.
I'm looking into getting a cat, so I hope you like cats, because I will probably bring it to the office.
Not partial to cats, but I'm willing to. Well, I might get a cat myself. Actually, I kind of want a little animal. Yeah, in my family.
Did you grow up with pets?
I did. I've always had a dog. Yeah. There was only like 1 year in my life where I was like in between dogs. But we also have a turtle at my parents' house. Yeah.
Oh my God, I want a turtle. Okay. First of all, don't even get me started on animals, because I want everything. The one animal I need to retire with is a horse.
Yeah. A horse?
A horse.
Why a horse?
I'm very much a horse girl.
Okay. I feel like this merits its own episode.
I know. I want a horse. I want a hedgehog. I went to a hedgehog cafe in Japan, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
I need one of those. I want a bunny.
Yeah.
I want a bird.
Yeah.
What type of bird? I'm impartial. Any bird.
Nice.
I'm okay.
Nice.
I want a reptile. A snake would be cool.
Yeah.
An iguana. Ooh, a chameleon, like Entangled, the little guy. Oh my gosh, I forget his name. It's blanking on me. Want one of those? Yeah.
Oh man.
I want them all.
Yeah. You can have like a live-in zoo if you wanted to.
I want to retire on a farm.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. We've had quite a bit of animals too in our in my years. We had 2 guinea pigs as well.
Want one of those too?
Yeah, we had a bird, a little parakeet or a budgie, one of the two. Yeah.
Where they talk?
No, they didn't talk.
No.
Oh. And a rabbit, very briefly. That was well, I don't know. We didn't really have the rabbit. It was we used to live on like a double lot, and the other lot was just forested. We kept it, but it was like like a lot of yards kind of crossed into it, and someone thought, it was like, I don't want this rabbit anymore. I'm just going to let it go into these people's yard. And we found it in our backyard one day. So we took it in, and I had to give it to a shelter. Anyway, long story. Any other animals that I'm missing? No. 2 dogs, a turtle, a bird, and 2 guinea pigs. Yeah, that's about it.
Horse.
No horse.
No horse.
Never been to a horse. But circling back to internships.
Did you do an internship in your
did,
program?
yeah. We so everyone in our year does an internship between in the summer of 3rd and our final year. And
so you don't actually do it within your semester, you do it outside of your semester.
We do it outside of the semester.
That's kind of mean.
A little bit, yeah. And like you, most of them are unpaid. And we are sort of kind of just thrown into it and expected to find our own, which is valuable, right? Because it's like your first taste at, really trying to find a job, which you will have to do in a year anyway.
Yeah.
And we did get a bit of prep for it. We had this sort of half a semester long what's called like co-op prep class, where it's basically just a general job preparation class where we learn more about proper resume formatting and what people generally look for in different companies. And we'd have guest speakers from different parts of the industry coming in and talking about what they look for in assistants and stuff. And the problem with that course, though, is it's very generalized. Like every single program gets the same course, so there wasn't a lot of video specific things.
Right.
And I would know a little bit more extra about it because it used to be my job in my second year to help teach the course.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
What?
Because I was working at the school's career center at the time as someone who would help people write their resumes and cover letters and stuff like that. Yeah. So,
nice.
Yeah, because at a young age, my dad would kind of shove that knowledge down my throat, and I would and I've been working pretty much since I was like 14 years old.
Same.
Yeah, right.
Yep. My mom was like, "You want a cell phone? Go get a job." And I was like, "Okay, then here I go."
Yeah. And Dad, I know you listen to these podcasts. I'm very, very grateful for that because But yeah, and then I got what I consider still to be like one of the coolest jobs I've ever had to date was at this sound stage at the Toronto Pinewood studio lot.
Whoa.
At this place called CERT, the Screen Institute of Research and Technology. And it's actually run by my school, but as a sort of separate entity. Oh. And for anyone who listens to our podcast regularly, I had my friend Matt on, who I talked to remotely, who works there now as one of their research leads for what they do now mainly, which is virtual production.
Wow.
Projecting LED video walls to do like real-time visual effects and stuff like that. Whole other podcast on that. If you really want to nerd out about that stuff, we go into it super detailed. And but yeah, so my job there was to kind of help with their social media and to help them research all the cool new stuff they were doing at the time, which is already super outdated because their job is to literally stay on top of the technology and trends, which changes, at the drop of a hat. But yeah, super, super valuable internship there. And
nice.
Yeah, then it was
How long did you do that for?
That was actually pretty much my entire summer. Like we ended school on the Friday, and then my job started the Monday.
Oh my gosh!
And then at the end of the summer, that ended on the Monday, and my job and school started on the Monday. Like it was like no break. I mean, like I took a small break in between to go home and take a little vacation and stuff. But thankfully that was a paid one though.
Nice.
So I wasn't screwed on that front, but. Thankfully, I think that's becoming more of a trend, though, is paid internships to kind of help.
I think it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I understand not all companies can afford it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But it is nice to have, especially because you're already broke as a student,
yeah.
right?
No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But man. Okay. Well, that being said, with all of that being wrapped up in a nice little bow, what would you say are the main pros and cons to going to film school in retrospect?
Oh gosh. Okay. I can't think of any cons right off the top of my head. So let me go through pros. Pros is it's super beneficial learning in a group environment.
Yeah.
One of my teachers, every time he gave us a test, he never really did it. We didn't do it in class. He was like, do it on your own time. And I don't care if you talk to your friends and you do it together.
Nice.
Because at least you're learning.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd rather you talk about it because then you're going to learn about it and you're going to remember it rather than just like be like, I don't know, and then fail.
Right.
So the group environment, the team structure is so beneficial. My program was definitely more television based than it is like video based, which was kind of one of my cons. I was kind of like, I want to learn more video than I do live TV. But that being said, it was also a pro in a sense because it helped me really hone in on what I wanted, what my passions were.
Right.
I think my only thing to people who are trying to figure out if they should go to film school or just learn on their own is figuring out, do you know exactly what you want to do? Like, do you just want to be a camera operator? And do you want to do those like cool vlog videos type of things?
Yeah.
Because you don't need to go to film school for it. But if you're looking to get into production companies, there is an industry standard that I think it would be beneficial to be in school for. But everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
Some people can fully teach themselves online by themselves.
Yeah.
And be just as good as someone who went to school for it. I'm glad I went to school for it. I'm also glad, I will recommend this. Coming out of high school, don't feel... in any industry, don't feel like you need to go straight into post-secondary.
Yeah.
Take your time. I'm so happy I declined going right away because first I had to pay for school myself. I saved in those 5 years. I also traveled in those 5 years. So I learned life experience, grew as a person, as an individual. And after all that time, my passion for film was still the same. I still knew I wanted to go do it. I still knew that I wanted to learn. And it helped me shape my career path. So that's what I would recommend.
No,
what about you?
That's really sweet. Yeah, I would agree with all that for sure. My timeline was a little different. After I went to, in Quebec, we have CEGEP right after high school. So it's sort of like a form of college that's meant for a little bit of exploration without paying thousands of dollars and getting into debt, right? It's $150 a semester to pick a program that suits your interest and you can kind of explore around a little bit.
Nice.
And I was still doing acting at that point, so I took an acting program. But yeah, like even, not really having much of a knowledge or a passion for film, but still deciding to go to film school. I am really thankful for that. Like I said before, that place to start and build up from there, but also being able to explore and not just like, take one class in this, one class in that. Like, I took like 3 sound classes, 2 editing classes, 4 screenwriting courses, 2 directing courses. Like, you really get to swim around and figure out exactly what rabbit holes you like to go down those. So I'm really, really, really thankful for that. And of course, yes, all the people that I met along the way, like a lot of the people that I would work with and hang out with and live with, I was thankful to live with like 4 guys from my, my program, my year. We had a house together. We were sort of the party house too. Everyone would come over and that was an experience I'll never forget. But so it's, I'm fortunate enough not to have to taken on debt for that, and that is definitely a big part of the equation, I'm sure, for some people. And if you do have a really specific idea of what you want to do in this industry, and you know what specific knowledge to seek out, then it's a bit more of a question of where else can you look that isn't such a big financial risk to do it. But
if you're like, oh, I want to do directing. like social media is at the tip of your fingertips nowadays.
Yeah.
All you have to do is send a DM to someone.
Exactly.
And if they don't respond, they don't respond. But if they do, just to be like, hey, I'd love to like help you, maybe like intern with you or something like that. If that's how you want to go about your route.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like it's right there. Take the chance. Why not? Right?
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. That's not something we were taught because
No.
at all.
Definitely not.
No.
But I've come to realize that that's what you can do now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just reach out to people, network. Because I learned in school, the biggest thing I learned was when I go out into this industry, a lot of the people in the industry came from this exact program that I was in.
Yeah.
And so the teachers still communicate with their previous students.
Yep.
And that they will offer up students as they come and go. So that was the biggest thing I learned was networking. Present yourself. You are constantly like, I am me and this is what I do and this is how I am.
Yeah.
And your work ethic will shine.
Yeah, exactly. There's always someone out there that you can find, even if you don't have direct access to them, at least right away. But like you said, you can reach out on social media. But there's chances are there's people out there doing exactly the kind of work that you want to do, and all you got to do is reach out to them. Like I haven't found exactly someone who I can like directly look up to who's doing exactly the kind of thing that I want to be doing. But I did find someone, and I'm just going to drop him right here because he's a really popular content creator, Mark Bone, who he's a documentary filmmaker from Toronto, did my exact program, did my exact internship. And he did a bit of other stuff in between. He kind of jumped off from the place that I worked at doing like 3D stereo, I don't know what you call it, stereographic cinematography, like shooting movies in 3D essentially when they used to do that.
Cool.
But then like when they started doing that all in post, then he had to kind of pivot, and that's when he discovered his love for documentary. I'm pretty sure I'm getting that right. If Mark Bone, if you're listening to this, just tell
connect
me if I'm
with
wrong.
Nathan directly, please, for proper information, and we'll make sure to correct that if it's incorrect.
Exactly.
Also, if you'd love to be on the podcast, just let us know.
Oh yeah, I'd love to have Mark Bone. I'd love to have you on the podcast. I have so many questions. Anyway. Thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on the podcast. I think we covered a lot of ground here. I can see the clock. We definitely went on for a long time, but
informative. We were informed. At least I'm hoping
definitely
that we were. And I think it's beneficial that both of us come from two different routes in getting to where we both are now.
Yeah, and places.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
sure.
Hopefully everyone listening and watching learned something.
Yeah. Everyone listening, if you're more confused than ever, you just have to decide your own path. And I hope that us scratching both sides of the coin as much as we can helped you in some way. But thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on the podcast. And thank you to our listeners for tuning into this podcast every week. If you're listening to this and aren't aware, we do a video version on YouTube. Please subscribe. And we also have a newsletter for Nora Vera. So if you like what we do, you like our work, you like this podcast, please subscribe to the newsletter, follow the newsletter. I don't know what
subscribe
to the
through
newsletter.
Our website. Check it out.
Exactly. And with that, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was fun. I'm glad we did this. Definitely. I like doing these.
Yeah.
I'm nervous, but I like it.
Yeah. Gets more fun every single time.
Right? This was Tip It Till You Make It.
Outro song that we don't have, or Lucas is going to add it in.
I feel like if you make music and you want to show your music, hit us up. Like we are always looking. I mean, I think we're all really friendly people and we love to connect with others.
Yeah.
So if you want to show some of your work, we'll show it.
Yeah.
Connect with us.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt.
Afraid.
Like we said, just, take a chance. Reach out and
we might not reply.
Okay, we're going to cut there.
We're going to cut it way before this.